Greetings, all praise the King. Welcome to Eyewitness, an eye with an eye, an unscripted source, where we reason to discover truth, supporting the struggle for international justice. Today's topic on social channeling. Now, you know, a channel is a kind of way. And so the idea is to move people in a direction. And when we think of channel, you know, or at least the younger generation probably think of what it is that's on the internet, you know, when they go to particular websites. So you got the major websites, you know, the second most visited website on the planet. These corporations are military sponsored, and so, you know, they use all the information, a lot of the research and development to develop these companies, and they did it for a specific reason, to move people in a path. So it shouldn't be, you know, to a shock to someone that the name of these platforms or displays or portrayals is channel, and that has to do with, as we said, the internet, as well as the television. And you know how we say tell live vision, like they're gonna tell you what to think. So, you know, along the lines of the last two reports, we were speaking about the social modeling and the social branding. Here's the social channeling. You know, it takes a channel, for example, to produce the model. Yeah? You wouldn't see the model if the model wasn't on the screen. Now, that's not in every case, but today, in today's world, this is mostly what we're dealing with. Of course, we talk about the visualization. I think the shift now to go into the virtual world. Now, you can get into a whole nother discussion about why this is happening. But this is the result. You know, the channels is what we'll see. So the input, the energy's gone into the development of this structure, which consists of these paths. Now, as you could imagine, people will sit down and they'll discuss, you know, where is it that we would like people to go? And, you know, it's not kind of done haphazardly, where there actually is, you know, a kind of plan or agenda to move people. They would love it if people don't realize they're being moved. You know, in other words, if people think that what's happening to them is a result of their choices, you know, they got they're liberated, man. They've got freedom. You know, so they give people, you know, the options. Yeah. We're gonna say it like that, you know. To choose where they like to go. Right? Now, we spoke about the distribution of the content. You know, they began to say content is king. Well, they were saying that because the old saying was cash is king. You know, now they're losing the cash, well, you know, on a liquid so-called basis. Everything going to so-called paper, where it's really not paper at all. You know, it's a binary code. But nevertheless, this is what we're talking about, because what you have to say to them is only valuable if it can reach others, and that's becomes the threat. You know, it's one thing if somebody knows the truth on their own. It's another thing if they know the truth and then they share it with others. So they have to lock down this supply chain of content and distribute the content that they know will benefit their cause and move people in that direction. So, and this is really, another way of grouping, as we have mentioned the social branding. Bringing people together underneath one. It could be a cause. It could be a deity, a fictional deity, but nevertheless something that they worship, that they rally around. And as we spoke about the social modeling, then that would be a person or a personality, and possibly in the future that may not be a human. You see where they're going with that. So they certainly looking to move people, and they like to move people in groups. And so, where you have generational differences, how the next generations often look at the old generations as being not in, with the times. Like, they're not really that cool, they're not popular, the shirt's not right, and they move people in trends. And by the way, this is why we are using Pink to talk about these topics, because everything really is, based on the trends. It's trendy, man. As far as moving people down these channels. And it's not that they're going to be able to move everyone, on this kind of concept, or incentive, because it's another form of incentivization. People looking to fit into the community around them, so they'll adapt the ways of those people around them. And if they see that something is popular, they'll do it, not necessarily because they like the shirt, but because they perceive that others like it. So therefore they assume that others will like them more as a result. And we know that that's not really the reality of it. But they managed to sell it. They managed to sell it like so. And that's probably because they had something on the channel that told you that. Could have been one of them supermodels, and they was like, look, this is what's up. So people followed it. Now you got, these brands we spoke about, and the associations. So, for example, whereas the YouTube wasn't really branded ever to be taken seriously, it was branded to be taken as something fun, entertaining, and definitely not something for people to go on and look to change the way that the world is working. So it became that, what they basically have classified as conspiracy theorist forums, and that's another form of labeling. It's going to discredit what the people have to say. They brought out the models, and those are their models. So those models are supposed to look like conspiracy theorists, like they really believe in what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, is that they're self-defecating, intentionally, so that others don't really die. They really don't get into what it is that they're where they're coming from. You see what I'm saying? Because you can have anybody tell the truth, and depending on who says it is depending on who will receive it in certain circumstances. And again, it has to do with how people perceive the world around them. Because if people think that you're somebody that's not popular, that you're not really that cool, then they're not going to want to listen to you, because they think that if they listen to you, then somehow you're going to bring them down. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, got to understand that people is judging themselves based on what others think. No matter what people might try to say about, who cares what others think. This is something that everyone is going to do. Everyone, So, but as far as you following others, then that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's the basis of it. So once you see that people are associating not just, people with popularity, but brands with popularity, you can see how they move people. Like, for example, how more and more people, the younger generations got into the YouTube. So they began to come with the TikTok. Yeah, and that became the thing right now. Now they were able to sell it. They were able to sell it through the pedophile, and it's one of the things that the pedophile, went door to door with. And so they channeled, they shifted this generation, this population of the younger people from listening to, what I'm saying, what they call the conspiracy theorists, to now watching these little dances. And the Babylon knew that the kids was going to get into it because it's, it's arousing, right? That's the idea. They're going to put something sexual on there to get people aroused. And therefore, they've channeled people. They've taken them away from this site, which really was one of the only options you had. They said you had other options. You try to sign up for them, you can't even get in. It has to do with that email. A lot of cases it has to do with the emails, the devices used, the passwords. So the Babylon has locked people down into a state of bondage with these mechanisms. Now they're moving the generation. Now this is what's in. This is what's in because, like I said, they didn't want other people to get into talking about the issues, to get into discussions. They would have rather had people dance. It was a lot safer. Another form of channeling. Now they're going to go on this channel, away from that channel, because it was cool.